Welcome to the Scream Queens Horror Movie Road Trip Podcast. Oh, that was pathetic.
That really was pathetic.
Oh,
Sorry.
come on. Give them a scream they can... Oh, okay. That just hurt my ear.
Oh,
is
I
all
can't.
that
Okay,
did.
all right, Goldie. Can't seem to please you, Goldilocks.
So, how are you, Miss Justine, our final girl?
Oh, I'm okay. I am a little ready for us to get to our final destination because we've been traveling for a little bit. But
we have. This is our second day of driving. We drove through Oklahoma, Arkansas, and to Nashville last night. And we slept, and we got up, and now we're in Virginia, heading up to... We're going to go stay at my dad's, but then we're going to go to Georgetown and see some of the sights from The Exorcist.
Yes, because we're going to cover that movie. But how are you doing, Soul Survival, Mr. Josh?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
We're going to see your dad. And
yeah.
You had asked how I was.
So exciting. Episode 20, The Exorcist in Georgetown trip.
Episode 20.
Here we
are.
are.
Shit.
Happy 20th.
Happy H2O.
Best friend. Well, so
20th.
let's get into it. Let's exercise this bitch. Let's do the
exercise
Exorcist.
our right to exorcist.
It's your right to exercise, right? No.
That's like a whole
Anyways.
other movie.
So, let's do this.
Yes, 1973, The Exorcist.
Directed by William Friedkin.
Yeah.
Screenplay by William Peter Blatty.
Yes, it's...
Based on the novel by Peter Blatty.
Yeah. Yep, keep going.
And it's a movie now.
It's a movie. It's an Oscar-winning movie.
Until just recently, it was the highest-grossing American horror movie of all time.
Yes.
But recently.
Of
recent
times.
Of recent, it has taken its spot.
Yeah, it.
And
which in itself.
Fun movie. Go see it if
great.
you haven't. Anyways, Exorcist. 1973.
Exorcist. The Exorcist poster touts itself as the scariest film of all time. And maybe we'll get into that later.
It's a different kind of scurry.
It's scurry, but it's scurry? Question mark?
Scurry with a fringe on top? Is that right?
Scurry with a fringe.
So...
Yes, okay, so we'll go ahead and open the movie.
We open in Iraq.
In the Middle East.
Yes.
And Max von Sydow is there hanging out. He's playing Father Merrick.
Okay, can I just say on the record, has Max von Sydow been like 70 his whole life?
I do believe that he is an old-looking kind of man.
He's just always has looked 70 years old, and he's still in movies looking 70 years old.
How old is he now?
You know, I really don't know.
So that doesn't help,
but he's always looked very old. And he looks old. And he almost looks the oldest in this movie. So I know they had to have made him up to look older.
He did a little bit of makeup.
He didn't do some reverse aging.
No, there wasn't any Benjamin Button shit going on in this. No, it's just him. He is an archaeologist and a priest.
And he is doing a special dig. We don't know what he's doing, but this whole scene is very foreboding, and the music is very stringent.
Yes.
It's very like, just like that. That is...
Yeah, it's like that.
It's like that.
It just is creating this ominous sense that things are gonna go from unsure to terrible.
And it kind of follows him around throughout maybe a day.
It's like his day, his last day on the dig site before he is summoned
back
home
to America.
Yeah. There are some hints of some statues that might carry demonic presence.
And he's called by this little kid to come see something, and they run to the site, and that's when they give him,
it's like a little figurine.
Of a head of a demon.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the demon Pazuzu, but they don't
Pazuzu.
actually mention it in the movie, but
It's
it's mentioned in the book that we are listening to on Audible.com while we're headed here to Winchester, Virginia.
Yeah, books on tape are pretty fun while you're driving. We're about halfway
finding
through.
out. Yeah, we're doing this together. It's a friend thing.
Friends.
Yeah, but while he's there that day, there are some strange things happen. I mean, he's almost run over by, like, a runaway carriage. That's just one of the things that happens. There's, like, a clock that stops ticking, and he's just picking up on...
dogs fighting.
Yeah.
There's just all this...
demonish, devilish things.
Again, that word foreboding.
Yeah, the word is ominous.
Word of the day, foreboding.
All right, let's go. Okay, so we leave Iraq, and next we're in Washington, D.C. We're in the U.S., and we're in Georgetown.
Georgetown, whoop whoop. We're about to go there.
It's the more ritzy part of D.C. It's where all of the houses are that wealthy people live in,
and Chris McNeil, played by
Ellen Burstyn,
is one of them wealthy beaches.
Yeah, she's like a super famous megastar actress of the time.
Swish, swish, bish.
Yeah, and this is like 1973, so she's definitely like swish, swish, bish. For sure. Katy Perry and her are.
It starts with her on set, right? Or do we go to her? I know in the book it starts with her in bed reading, but I feel like the movie starts with her like... shooting a movie. She's on set, right? She's like, no, look at this! This isn't right!
And it's like one of the first scenes is her like rushing up to... they're on a movie set, and the movie set is of these like protesters, and they're shooting at Georgetown University.
She protested.
And so she's like playing some teacher that, I don't know, it's like Dangerous Minds, but 1973, and about protesting versus like high school kids.
So it means, she's a white woman helping white kids in this movie.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Anyway, so she's shooting a movie is the main thing.
Yeah, she's an actress.
And it's in Georgetown, and Georgetown is also kind of a heavy Catholic area. And so there's a lot of like priests scurrying about, changing flowers up and stuff.
Yeah, you see lots of flower changing.
But we meet Reagan, who is her daughter, and she's in the movie 12 years old, played by Linda Blair.
She got Oscar nominated for this role too, by the way.
Yeah, her acting is phenomenal.
Yeah, she's like, hey, I'm Reagan.
I'm Reagan.
She says that she comes right up to the screen and just announces it.
Yes.
No.
She breaks the fourth wall momentarily, but we accept it as an audience because we see where the magic is.
Yes.
All right. And Reagan is slowly not acting like herself. So daily, Reagan kind of changes. And we'll keep pointing those things out, but, you know, when we first meet Reagan, she's such a sweet girl who's stealing cookies from a cookie jar.
Aww. At the beginning of this movie, too, there's a really, for me, iconic scene where...
Yes, touch on that, Josh.
Ellen Burstyn leaves the film shoot. She's walking home, and there's, like, kids running and trick-or-treating. There's, like, leaves blowing.
Yeah, it's happening in fall.
Some perfect, like, kind of creepy... foreboding music playing, and to me that scene reminds me of just like my love for Halloween.
Yes,
I've got to watch this movie every Halloween. And mainly for that scene in particular. You want to see
them wrestling leaves.
It just sets the mood.
That sets the boobs.
The boobs and the tone.
And the tone of the boobs. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where we're getting boobs right now.
I'm sorry, I thought you said boobs.
No.
Sorry. So
her mind's wandering.
Leaves rustling.
Yes.
And Ellen Burstyn going down a sidewalk on Prospect Street. I think that's what.
I'm not sure. I don't live there.
Anyways. Next, we meet a character named Father Damien Karras.
Yes, she spies him actually while they're filming this movie.
Yes.
She looks out into the crowd and sees a priest kind of laughing and joining in, you know, spectating, and so you already kind of see him. He's played by Jason Miller, who his performance in this movie is one of my all-time favorite, screen performances. I just think he's so wonderful in this movie.
He really does a great job of conveying he's a conflicted yet thoughtful man.
Yes.
And he loves his mother dearly.
But he just can't take good care of her.
No, I mean, he's a priest, so he lives a life of poverty, apparently. And his mom actually lives in New York City. He traverses to see her.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
He's a psychiatrist, and he is, like I mentioned, conflicted. Through the movie, you find out that he just doesn't really know if it's getting older, and I guess maybe seeing that life is a lot of like depressing things, and as like a priest, he has to hear and see kind of the worst, that he might be losing his faith.
Oh,
and so this is a journey for him.
It's a journey of a priest, but a different kind of journey. It's not a molestation journey.
No, we're not going there.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my gosh, I need to do the sign of the cross right now, because you are just...
Is that blasphemous?
No, it's not blasphemous to talk about molestation. If it happened, it happened.
But maybe he didn't.
Acknowledge it. Sorry.
Sorry, I went there.
I went there.
She went there.
I
went
go
there. We didn't like it, so we left.
So we left. All right. Okay, yeah. So she's shooting a movie in Georgetown, and Father Karras works at a church that's right by where she's shooting, and so that's why they happen upon each other.
She sees him twice that day. She sees him out while she's filming, and then when she's walking home, she kind of stops and watches him for a moment.
Yes, because he's having a conversation.
And she's kind of drawn to him.
Yeah, she feels pulled, like, and he is a character that wears, like, all of his emotions on his face.
Yeah.
And so he often walks around looking brooding, and, like, he's got a lot on his mind.
Yeah. He's really fantastic.
After that walk, though, because that walk is important, it's a classic scene, and it's iconic, the walk down the street for Chris. It's when she gets home, and we get to know a little bit more about Reagan.
Yeah, they spend some time down in the basement. She shows up. She's like, Mom, I have this Ouija board, and I talked to this person named Captain Howdy.
Yeah, come down here in the basement, Mom. I do all kinds of art, and I make clay figures, and then I talk to a demon, maybe.
I made some arts and crafts and talked to the devil today, Mom.
What have you been doing?
He calls himself Captain Howdy.
Yeah, Captain Howdy.
That's such a crazy name.
And it wasn't until we were listening to the book that kind of made, like, it clicked, in our minds that her dad's name is Howard. You don't know the dad, they're estranged. Ellen Burstyn's character, Chris, and her husband are estranged, but his name's Howard, and, like, if that had anything to do with her, like, or why Captain Howdy was named Captain Howdy.
And he's apparently never around. You just get some scenes of her, like, Ellen Burstyn very upset that
screaming into a phone.
That he didn't make an effort to call on the birthday.
Yeah. So there's a definite estrangement, and they are fighting on the phone, and that's things that, like, Reagan sees, because Chris goes through a lot in this movie of, like, feeling bad for almost not having him around, and does that have anything to do with what's wrong with Reagan?
What is wrong with Reagan? She starts acting crazy. She's like, Mom, my bed was shaking. Can I come sleep with you?
Mama, my bed's shaking. Oh, yeah, but so we're down in the basement, and she's like, yeah, Mom, I've got this friend, Captain Howdy, who you can't see, and I talked to him through Ouija board. She's like, whatever, let's try to talk to him. And then...
she's like, hey, Captain Howdy, is my mom ugly?
Yeah. Which is like, okay, out of all the questions that you could, like, have asked, is that what you want, like, him to answer?
She actually says, is my mom pretty? But it's like,
yeah,
okay.
Basically you just asking, like, what do you think? Is my mom a MILF?
Captain Howdy, do you want to bang my mom?
And, so Captain Howdy doesn't answer, or there's no Captain Howdy.
Yeah.
But, so we don't know yet.
Which is it?
Which is it?
Is this all in Reagan's mind? Is this an elaborate hoax? Is this bitch just needing attention?
Bitch needing attention all day, every day.
I know this bitch right here needs attention. I'm pointing to myself. But
that next morning, though, there is a priest who is taking some flowers to the local church, and he happens upon a statue.
That someone put boobs and a wiener on.
Yeah, like some kind of like.
It looks like paper mache or something.
Right?
I don't really
it's like somebody got really artsy fartsy, but like went Madonna with the
It's like red,
boobs.
you know, kind of at the tips. It has like these long, skinny, droopy cone boobs and like this long, droopy dick.
Yeah, so somebody overnight
it.
desecrated a statue of Mary, which for a Catholic, or, you know, especially for a priest, would be like blasphemous. What? Why?
Yeah.
No, we don't do that to the Holy Mother.
No.
And so that happened, and also that same night that the desecration happens and that we have the Captain Howdy thing, Father Karras's mother dies. And we have come to find out Father Karras loves his mom very much. He's maybe got some mommy issues.
He visits her. You see him taking the train to New York to visit her, and he has these kind of like really tender but kind of really sad scenes.
Yeah.
Where she's just in the dark, sitting in a chair. You can tell she's incredibly lonely. It's really depressing.
But she doesn't want to leave her home.
She's like, no, damn me.
Yeah,
this is my home.
I live here. And she's like Greek. So she has like an accent.
You know what they say? Greeks is freaks.
Well, she's freaky. And he walks in and she's kind of always in the dark, but just like looking out a window.
Why you do this to me, Demi?
Why you do this to me, Demi? Well, that line will come up in a little bit, but yeah, so she calls him Demi.
Demi.
And now we find out that the reason why his mom has died is because the uncle put her in like a home for like crazy people.
Yeah.
Not like a home for like old people.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford that. So he put her into
like the state mental hospital. Because it's free.
It's free, I guess.
Or something, yeah.
Free equals dead. So, poor. So he has this like really sad time. He's kind of getting wasted drunk with his like best priest friend.
Having nightmares.
Yes,
he does have a close priest named
Father Dyer.
Father Dyer.
Yeah.
Who's also friends with Chris.
Yes,
McNeil.
yeah. And that's kind of how that'll all come into play. Yeah. So he's lost his mama.
Yeah, poor guy.
Poor guy.
Poor Demi.
That next evening.
Demi! Why you doing this to me, Demi?
Gosh, if you've already seen this movie, then you know exactly what we're doing. And hopefully you're laughing and not like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? Like, these people suck.
Demi.
I'm stopping right now.
Demi.
Why you doing this to me, Demi? And then Tangina shows up. And she's like, Demi!
Get the demon
out! Going to the light, Demi!
Oh, we haven't heard from Tangina in a while.
Tangina has not reprised her role in some time.
It's good to see you, Tangina.
Just got like a moment where she needed to pop
Tangina
out.
might need to come help this exorcism.
Yeah, she hunts poltergeists.
Yes.
So, yeah, and
poltergeist, demons. She's across the board a resident hunter.
Yeah.
Ghost hunter.
Tangina's from the movie Poltergeist, in case you didn't know, and then you need to watch that and you need to listen to another one of our podcasts.
Go back to episode 8 if you don't get it.
If you don't get it. But the next night, Chris McNeil throws a wonderful party for all of her friends that are in the DC area.
Her highfalutin friends.
The director of her movie.
All them fancy folk. Yeah, his name's Burke.
Yeah, Burke Dennings. He's like an English guy who swears that Chris's like housekeeper's a Nazi.
Yeah, he keeps calling Carl the housekeeper different Nazi names or suggestions.
Yeah. I think he makes it seem like he's a high-ranking Nazi official.
He's throwing out lots of Nazi shade.
It's not nice to, I'm sure,
accuse somebody of being a Nazi.
when they're not, because that's mean too. But so there's crazy Jewish and Nazi things happening.
Crazy Jewish and Nazi things happening? You mean just crazy people accusing people of being Nazi things happening?
Well, I thought that Burke was a Jewish man. Does he
might
not
be.
mention
He keeps
that?
saying, I'm from Sweden. Which doesn't
No,
mean
that's
he's
Carl.
not Jewish.
That's the... I'm talking about Burke.
Yes,
Burke's
Burke is Jewish. Yes.
Okay, so thanks. Anyways, Chris learns, though, from Father Dyer, who Father Karras is at her shindig.
She's like, hey, who's that one hottie with the priest collar on? Huh?
That one hottie. Not you, Father Dyer!
She's like, can you hook it up? Father Dyer's
I know, and he is kind of cute, too, yeah. And he's a showman. He's, like, playing the piano and talking about how when he gets to heaven, he's going to headline.
Yeah.
And
well, he's on the DL. His, like, whole beard is, that's why he's hiding in the priesthood.
Yeah, he's hiding in the priesthood because he might be a gay man. Oh, yes, this is where we have Reagan.
Oh, she's like, hey, y'all, let me show you this trick. My mom wanted me to show off for y'all tonight, so I'm going to come down, I'm going to act half asleep, and I'm going to piss all over the place, okay?
Yeah. It's like, Reagan, you were supposed to be asleep in your room, but you're not pissing on this floor.
She comes down while everybody's playing, like, huddled around the piano, like, in their fancy attire, being all fancy and playing the piano.
70s home entertaining, like.
And Father Dyer is just eating it up.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden they're stopped by the presence of Reagan, and she says, you're all gonna die up there, and then she pisses all over the floor.
Yeah. And it's a lot of, I mean, she'd been holding it all day.
And by piss, I mean urinate.
Yeah. Expel.
In case you didn't
eliminate.
know. Some people don't know what piss
Some
means.
people don't know what piss means, so we're going to tell you it's pee. It's
pee.
urine. It's the stuff that comes out
your
urethra.
She tinkled all over the place.
And, yeah, so, I mean, if there was going to be, like, party foul moment where...
That's it.
Yeah.
When your kid comes down and pees in front of your guest, party over.
Yeah, everybody's got to go.
Or you know what?
You got to get your mothering on.
You know what? Party just begun.
Yeah, and they all start, like, rolling and
like,
pee on the floor. And they're like, wet and wild!
They're
and
like, you're an orgy, you're an orgy!
Peeing on the floor. Woo!
Piss orgy.
Piss orgy. I love how that's how it ended, was you saying piss orgy.
Piss orgy.
Okay, so she's given Chris has given Reagan a bath. Everybody's left. She's like, thanks for ruining my party. What's wrong with you, you little cunt?
You selfish bitch.
Yeah.
No. She's washing her all tenderly in the bathtub.
Yeah, and she's like, what was wrong? Why would you say that?
She's like, Mama, what's wrong with me?
No, she doesn't say anything.
Oh, she's just sitting there in the bath.
She's just like, bitch, I don't hear you. I'm a million miles away.
Doesn't she say that when she puts her to bed, though? She's like, Mom, what's wrong with me?
Maybe she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe she does. Thanks.
So she puts her to bed.
Puts her to bed, and she just gets her own earrings off. She's like, all right, I'm going to sleep myself.
Uh-huh.
And Reagan starts
screaming.
Mother, come here! Mother! Mother!
That is the best Linda Blair impersonation I've ever heard.
Is it?
Thanks.
Mother! Mother! God.
But, so, she runs in.
Yes.
And Reagan is, like, flip-flopping all over the bed.
Yeah, she runs in, and then, like, her housekeeper's running in, and, like, there's this other lady that lives there that, like, helps take care. Yeah, Sharon. She runs in, and they're all like, what the hell? And Reagan is just flopping up and down on her bed, but, like, involuntarily, she's like, make it stop! Like, Mom, make it stop!
Yeah. One thing we forgot to mention is that prior to all this, they have been hearing things in the attic.
Oh, yeah.
These loud scratchings and rumblings, and Ellen Burstyn's checked it out a few times, and that's a really good scary jump scene when she's up in the attic with that big candelabra.
Uh-huh.
And I think Carl kind of scares her, but at the same time that Carl comes into frame to scare us as an audience, the flame, like, blows up on her. The candle. It's a really good jump scare.
Yeah. And Carl is, like, one of the housekeeper guys. He's, like, a groundskeeper. In case we didn't mention who he was. Because they do have some, like, house servants that, or, like, people that she employs that kind of show her around.
She's rich. She's a rich bitch.
Yeah, she's a rich bitch. So she can't raise her child on her own necessarily. Needs somebody to tutor her kid.
She's like, I have too much money to be able to do this.
Needs somebody to clean the piss up off the floor for her. And
Carl.
So, yeah, there's like a few other players.
Reagan peed on the floor again. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Where are we?
So she's like, I'm taking you to the doctor.
Yeah. And this is when we have like about 25 minutes of just like medical, laboratory, torturous stuff. Like,
some of this is the most disturbing stuff in the movie.
In the commentary of The Exorcist, William Friedkin mentions that all of the sound for this part of the movie is like the scariest on the soundtrack. Like when he listens to it, it's the part that kind of like gets him the most. Is all of those like medical sounds and
lots of like metallic sounds and like, you know, laser, like X-ray sounds, you know, flashings.
And it's supposed to kind
flash
of
bulbs. And all that kind of. And it's awful. She's getting like needles stuck in her neck, blood squirting out everywhere, and it looks so realistic.
Yes, and it's all of these medical procedures to look into her brain.
Makes
to
you
see scans.
Squirm. Yeah, they think she has a lesion in her brain.
Because Chris is going to doctors and asking, like, what's wrong with my kid? This is how she's acting. They do these tests, and they're like, well, there's not really anything going on. And then they are looking at her tests, the doctors are, when they get a call, and she's like flipping out at home. So they get to make like a home visit, and the doctors get to see for themselves.
Oh my gosh. They walk in and she's like, is this the time when she's flailing up and down on the bed? Like, it looks like she's doing some mad crunches.
And this is the time when she masturbates with the crucifix and it's like, fuck me. Fuck me.
That's the same time? Because there's the first time when they come in, doesn't she grab him by the balls?
Yeah, she does grab him by the balls.
Yeah, that's a separate time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different one. Yeah, this is the time they come in and she's like going crazy and pardon moi. That means pardon me. She grabs this is the psychiatrist. You got me going crazy right now.
It's the doctors that just did the lab tests for her, and they show up and she does grab him by the balls and
that's nuts. And how the camera like follows him to the ground. Mm-hmm. It's like some early camera, you know, some crazy camera work.
We got some crazy camera work and some crazy traffic going on right now.
Yeah,
damn.
We're like stopped.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I'm losing place in my notes. We've got some traffic stuff. My eyes been looking up and then down, and now I'm looking
over here. Your sole survivor is in charge. Or I mean,
well, I dropped the book too.
Me, the sole survivor, is in charge of driving. She's in charge of keeping us on track. And she ain't doing it.
Oh, I just didn't put us on track. Yes, this is the doctors and so after this happens, after she basically attacks these doctors.
Yeah, it's scary.
She
grabs them balls hard.
Like she might have made it to where he couldn't have no more hearing.
She might have like squeezed and popped them things.
Mm-hmm. Pop, pop.
Pop, pop. I mean, he's never gonna be the same.
No. But the doctors are finally like, you're gonna need to like take her to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is like, you're gonna need to
put her away.
You're gonna need to put her away.
And she's like, I'm not putting my child somewhere.
All the doctors agree on one thing, and they think that what she should do is like do an exorcism on her, but like for the benefit, like that they don't believe that it's actually the demons and stuff, but that Reagan might believe that it's a demon.
Yeah, the suggestion of an exorcism, since she's playing this game, is what they think.
Yeah.
They think, okay, well then she'll play along and they'll exorcise her and then she'll be cured.
Yes.
Is kind of what the doctors are thinking.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh great, how am I going to find someone to do an exorcism?
Well, yeah, and she's like, we're not even religious, like why in the world would she even begin to think that this is a demon that's taking over her? But
something happens to Burke soon. I do know that.
Yes, that's coming up. Yeah, right here. And so later that night, Chris returns home to find Reagan alone. And the shutters to her window are open, and it's cold in her room. And she's just laying there asleep, but you get the sense that, like, well, she is by herself, and she's like, where is everyone? No one's here watching Reagan.
Yeah.
And that's
Sharon comes in. She's like, well, I had Burke stay with her. Where's Burke?
Yeah.
And they're like, she's like, oh, great. Of course, crazy Burke left. You know?
Just like went and got drunk and walked out and didn't bother to wait until the servants got back. But then they, like, somebody shows up and is like, hey, guys, Burke is, like, outside dead.
Yeah, he fell down those stairs outside.
Apparently,
the window,
is drunk in the alley stairway that we're going to see.
Yeah,
that
these are
we're
the
going
stairs
to
we're going to see in Georgetown.
That he fell down the stairs and he's dead. Like, his neck got twisted.
His head's all turned around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's devastated by this news. Burke was a good friend of hers and confidant, and even though he was crazy, she liked him. It was her director.
Yes.
You know?
He was a mentor to her, a friend to her, and now he's gone.
Yes.
And it's not but like a couple days later that a detective comes around and is like, hey, and he kind of looks like Paul Newman. And
yeah, he's really, I like his character a lot.
Yes.
I like this scene a lot between the two of them, because it's like he points out in the commentary, the whole time it's like zooming in, and then once kind of like she understands what he's getting at, starts zooming out. Like, the camera works really neat in this scene. Very subtle.
yes.
It's really
Subtly.
saying, he's suggesting things to her in this scene. He's a detective. They sit down. He's leading her to basically say maybe it could have been Reagan that pushed Burke out the window.
Yes, because he's been outside. He's looked to see where Reagan's window was. Looked to see that it's right above these, like, alleyway stairs, and these stairs are real narrow and they go down really, like, deep. And the main thing is that we find out that, like, Burke's neck wasn't just, like, broken, which is what we had originally heard, that his neck was completely turned around. And that he's saying, like, that would have had to have taken the strength of, you know, a large man to do, but they would have had to have been in Reagan's room to throw him out the window. So, how, you know, like, you've got to help me figure this out. I need to talk to Reagan. And she's like, no, you can't, you know, because she's just told him Reagan is sick. She hasn't said, like, my daughter's up there acting like she might be possessed.
You do get the sense that she's trusting this guy. That there's something about him that she likes. She even says later, like, oh, I think you're a good man.
Yes.
And
it's like she's getting scared because she's realizing not that it's a tall man that was in the room, but that it was her daughter that did it. Like, he is also telling her the nitty-gritty of the death, and she's getting uncomfortable realizing that it was indeed
maybe it was my baby.
Reagan that probably killed Burke.
So then it goes to a scene almost immediately, right, where she meets up with Father Karras, right?
The next scene is after the detective leaves. She goes upstairs to find Reagan stabbing herself in the vagina.
Oh, yes.
And with a crucifix. So she runs upstairs because she hears, like, not her daughter's voice.
And now that is just, I mean, I'm not a Catholic, I'm not quite sure, but that, they only do that on midnight mass on Christmas Eve, right? The stabbing of the pussy.
As a Catholic, I can say that in my many years of going to Christmas Mass, it's my favorite part of the ceremony.
Is the violent masturbating with a golden crucifix.
Right, because nothing gets you closer to the Holy Spirit.
And in this movie, it's like sharp-cornered.
Yeah, no, it's a metallic.
She is
like
tearing herself up.
As like a woman, I will just say, like, as a lady, knowing what's happening down there, I gotta take a moment and just say R.I.P. to her vagina. Because it's not coming back.
No, she's messed
Poor
up. Poor
girl. Got a fucked up vag.
Well, and she's saying some just awful, blasphemous stuff.
Oh, she's like, fuck me! Fuck me! Fuck me!
She grabs her mom's face and says, like, lick me! Lick me!
Shoves her sweet mother's face into her bloody vagina, guys. Like, now, this is all, you're not seeing this. This is insinuate. Like,
yeah, it's
like,
all insinuated. You know,
like,
she's stabbing herself.
We see
You know what she's
You see it
doing.
from like over her shoulder kind of things. Like this is 73. They're not showing that.
Yeah, but it's pretty violent, and the suggestion. Yeah.
Your mind will fill all the blanks in, and then you yourself will be like, "Oh, this is terrible."
And then after she forces her mother to perform oral on her, she lifts her mom up and then slaps her across the face and throws her across the room.
Yeah, and then has like furniture trying to fall on her.
Things are flying around the room.
It's crazy. It's this crazy moment for Chris. And then she hears Burke, but she hears Burke out of Reagan's mouth saying, "Do you know what she did?"
Yeah.
And that, to me, is like
means
where
like,
Chris figures out, like,
she
killed him.
Possessed.
She killed him. And look at all she's doing, so it's not her. I've got to find help for her. She's also like her body is looking more like
she looks very haggard.
decrepit.
Her face big.
She's
black
got lacerations
circles,
all over her.
big bags under her eyes. She's looking very frail. She's not keeping herself together very well.
No.
She's not doing her hair.
Girl ain't taking a bath.
She looks pretty messed up.
Yes.
She's not taking her child's possession very well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and she, like, the next morning, Chris's face from being basically, like, bitch slapped by her daughter.
Yeah.
And she is wearing sunglasses around everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And she gets in touch with Father Karras.
Karras.
Probably through Father Dyer. She got in touch through Father Karras, is what I'm thinking happened. But
it's another really good intimate scene, kind of like the scene with the detective, where she's kind of... She spills her guts this time, though, and tells Father Karras,
this is what's been happening with my daughter. And he's like, as a psychiatrist, I think you need to get her more help. I don't think he kind of laughs it off.
And he's like, girl, we haven't been doing exorcisms since, like, the Dark Ages. He's like, it's going to take a lot for anybody to say I can do this. I got to go through the bureaucracy of the Catholic Church to find out if I can do this for you.
Yes. Because they don't want to put their name behind a hoax.
But she's like, just come by my house right now and you'll believe me.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Does
she's like, come with me.
To immediately, like, he goes over there and he gets to see something. You know, like she isn't full of shit. He walks in first. Reagan is tied up to a headboard now.
Yeah.
Like, that's how crazy she is. And her own mom is like, guess what? I'm gonna have to strap you down. You have knocked my eye socket out. Basically.
The bed is padded now.
Yes. Yeah. Her face is fucked up too. That's where she has all those like cuts all over her face.
Yeah.
And it's like
she's starting to go
demon
down.
inside is
manifesting. The manifestation of Reagan.
Father Karras walks in and he's like, "Hey girl, you're looking great." And
just let's keep it body positive, okay?
How are you? What's your name? Sign, age, sex, age, location, kind of thing. And Reagan
ASL question mark.
Reagan's like, "I'm the devil."
He's like, "Oh, you're straight up just the devil." And she's like, "Yes, damn me."
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's like that. That's really sad because she does impersonate his dead mother, and
says some awful things, awful untruths.
Yeah, so that's what you do, still damn it.
Because he's wrestled with how he treated his mother, and now the demon's using it against him.
Yes, and so he's like, okay, how does she know about my dead mom? Yes.
Yeah.
And how does she know about my dead mom? And so he's like, oh, ha ha ha, you're a trickster. Okay, all right, I'll go with it. You're the devil, sure. Why don't you do something? And
she's like, no, that would be what did she say?
Too vulgar a show of
yes. That'd be too
power.
vulgar a display of power.
Yeah. And he's like, what the fuck ever. So instead of maybe just like opening a window, she projectile vomits
green,
whatever she had eaten,
green slime all over him. Apparently it was a lot of split pea soup. I hear that's actually what they used in the movie.
Pea soup, yeah. Split pea soup. Have you yourself indulged in some split pea soup?
I think I have, and I think it had like maybe ham or something in it. It was seasoned quite nice.
quite nice.
Quite nice. No, I actually don't really remember if I have or not.
Yeah, like I
think I have.
I can't recall eating split
It was
pea soup.
uneventful if I have. I think I have.
So I just don't know if it was as bad as it was for Reagan, who put it all over Father Karras's nice shirt.
Yeah. And so Chris is like, "Oh, give that to me, Father. I'll go wash it. Let's go have a scene down in the basement where I'm ironing and drying your clothes." And you're contemplating what you just saw.
Yeah. And you're like telling her that, like, look, I don't know. I don't know. I need to get more, and I'm gonna have to, like, consult with people on what to do. And he goes to the, like, college, but I guess, like, he has, like, a moment to work out because that detective.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta hit the track for a minute. He's like, I'm a priest jog. I gotta jog.
Yeah, I do love that, like, in the middle of this, he's just, like, found this girl who she's at least putting on a really good show. And he's like, I gotta go.
I gotta go jog.
I'm gonna do a 5K. I know Josh and Justine just did one last couple weeks ago.
Episode
and
19, I was inspired. I'm gonna go jog.
I listened, so I'm gonna go do my jog.
My jog.
But the detective guy shows up and wants to talk to Father Karras because of the church desecration. Because that was, like, his church.
Yeah.
And so he's like, hey, I think that these two things might be connected. And I don't know why, but you're going to tell me. And then Father Karras is like, no, I'm not, because I'm a priest, and even if I did know something, which I don't have to tell you because
that's
I'm
the
a priest.
law, bitch.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I just want you to know I'm looking at the McNeils as well. And
he's like,
so
what?
Karras knows that the McNeils are being watched. And so he goes back to visit Reagan again and to record her.
She says all kinds of things in, like, different languages, you think? And
yeah, she is just, like, flaunting her bilingualism, trilingualism.
She's turning her head around, right? Doesn't she do that in this scene, or is that later on?
No, I think it is later on.
Okay.
But she did turn her head around briefly to her mom.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, because she does it twice in the movie, but she does it, like, all the way around later.
Yeah.
No, this is when he sprinkles holy water on, well, what we thought was
She's
holy
like,
water.
It burns,
yeah.
it burns.
And she puts on this, like, whole big show. She's like,
if you could only see Justine right now, she's doing that.
Well, I'm 100%. I got to put my performance on.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, he gets some recordings, but then he tells Chris that, like, he still doesn't know because he didn't really throw holy water on her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so Father Karras, are you trying to, what are you, like,
He's just being indifferent.
Yeah, he's being indifferent, and he's like, okay, well,
what the fuck?
You do look like you might, but then then I try these things on you that I know I would need to do in an exorcism.
She's like, there's just inconsistencies, is what he's thinking.
There's inconsistencies in your demonic possession, man.
Yes. But later he goes and listens to these recordings, and when he plays them backwards, she's saying things.
Yeah, he has, like, a friend who kind of shows him what to do, and he's like, well, what kind of language is this? And he's like, it's English, it's just backwards, you dumb fuck. Watch. And yeah, then he gets to hear what she's saying, and she's just saying, like, I don't know, she's saying some kind of, like, biblical scripture that, like, a demon says, and so that's supposed to, like, prove that she, I don't know. And it makes him realize that Reagan is, toying with him. The demon inside is toying with him. He did not just say, fuck you, dude, to me. He had to, like, Josh had to, like, move over into a lane, and there was, like, this guy next to us who was being an asshole.
I'm road raging
and
right
Josh
now.
was trying to not road rage, but I did try to talk a little louder just now so you wouldn't hear Josh say that, but I think you might have heard it. So, no, Josh wasn't telling me.
There was a real asshole on the road just now, guys.
It's like, fuck you, Justin.
But we're back. I'm back.
Sorry,
Hey.
Josh isn't mad anymore.
So where are we? I had to, like, really concentrate on the road for a second.
No, it's okay. Well, yeah, so Reagan is toying with him, and he's like, oh, okay, maybe she knew then that wasn't holy water.
Yeah.
And so he's starting to, inch by inch, believe a little bit more.
He's like, I'm going to sin for somebody.
Yeah, he finally talks with the church and is like, I think this is legit. And he gets a call from Reagan's house, the Susan.
She's like, you gotta come
Sharon.
see this.
Yeah, and he shows up,
and on Reagan's torso,
she's
it says,
asleep.
It looks like it's like almost like a burn. Like it's her skin is raised, but it spells out, "Help me."
Yeah,
and
like somebody inside her.
Yeah, like it's her trying to scream out for help. Like her
Mm-hmm.
consciousness is in there somewhere. That's how she's trying to communicate, is marking her own body. It looks really, really real.
It looks really real.
It's really real.
It's good. It's special effects are
good
really
makeup.
good, and
Really good
makeup is
makeup.
great. Yeah. So this brings us to the last part, and it is the final piece of the movie. It's when Father Marin, who we saw in the beginning of the movie in Iraq, comes.
He comes back. He gets summoned. You see him wandering alone somewhere, almost like he knows the demon's coming for him again.
Yep.
And he gets a letter. A young priest runs to him and gives him a letter.
And he's like, damn.
We don't see what it says, but the next shot, you see him pulling up, and you get that iconic moment where it's foggy. You see the house that we're going to in Georgetown, and he pulls up by the taxi and stands there for a second under the street light, and then he approaches the door, and Chris lets him in. She's like, oh, it's you. Okay, come in.
Oh, we got another father up in this house.
She's like, I got all the priests.
And they kind of immediately get to work on this exorcism.
Uh-huh. Father Karras is there and leads him upstairs, and this is where we get the famous bed levitating. They start doing their, Catholic stuff, saying like, power of Christ compels you, and shit like that. And they say it over and over, and you see Reagan.
She's levitating. She's making
barfing.
shit move in the room.
Oh, that's one of the nastiest barfing scenes. We already had the projectile one, and he's saying things to her, and she's almost just like laying there with her head to the side, and like this green shit's just flowing out of her mouth, and it looks so disgusting.
Things get really intense.
Yeah.
And she's like taunting them. She's doing the whole mother thing to Father Karras again, and so he gets excused from the room by Father Marin.
He's like, you need to leave for a second.
I can do this. You go get yourself some air. And Father Marin, we've mentioned that he's really old.
Yeah.
And
Max von Sydow's always looked really old.
Yeah. And it's assumed that, like, when Father Karras comes back into the room, that Reagan probably either he had a heart attack or Reagan killed him.
Yeah.
And you don't know because he is old.
He's laying there with, like, the holy water just dripping. It's a close-up shot of him laying there.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, he's kind of got like this heart thing that we know through the movie that's happened. And
we've seen him taking pills.
Yeah.
Little, baby aspirins throughout the movie.
So we just don't know. But she's loving it, though. She's like in the corner of the bed. And she's, whether it be that she actually killed him or she's just laughing because he had a heart attack while trying to give him the Exorcist. Anyways, that pisses off Father Karras.
Before he died, though, and they were doing their initial exorcism together, she, like, tore the straps, and she had the famous, like, where the bed's floating and then she's floating. Some of that stuff's very iconic.
The levitation of her body.
When you think of The Exorcist and the exorcism scenes, I always think of the levitating. And that.
And then the priest, like, standing there while she's being levitated, and they're like, the power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Yeah, that shit, that shit's so good!
It's great!
Love it.
But Father Karras comes back in, and he sees that Father Marin's dead. He gets really mad. He kind of figures there's only one thing left to do. And he grabs Reagan. They get like in a tussle.
They're fighting.
And he tells the demon inside Reagan, like, take over me.
Get in me. Get in me.
And the demon does. And it makes you wonder, was this the demon's intention the whole time?
To try to kill.
To try to actually get to Father Karras. But he does. And so Father Karras throws himself out that same window
that Burke fell out of earlier.
Yeah. And
he falls hard down those steps.
Yeah, he's bleeding out on the steps of the...
Father Dyer happens
to walk by.
And he reads the last rites to him. It's actually a really sad scene.
And
he's crying. We're like freaking out because of what we've just seen, all the fighting, and then him suddenly throwing himself out the window as soon as the demon takes over, and you see it in his face. His face immediately takes that like blue, cold look that Reagan has had that whole time. And you're like, oh shit, he listened, he in you now, boy.
Yep, and he's baby dead now at the bottom of them stairs.
He's dead at the bottom of the stairs. And then we cut back up to Reagan just like crying in the corner. She's kind of, the demons left her now, so she's, I guess, quote, back to normal.
Chris has come in the room. The police officer has shown up and went in the room and sees, you know, that there's one dead priest on the ground, and Reagan is like,
crying.
I mean, and she doesn't look great.
She doesn't really, it's like, does she know what happened? Does she remember?
No, and we find out that she doesn't because they have a little epilogue at the end, which is them leaving, packing that house up and leaving. And Reagan has some healing up spots on her face, and you can tell that a little bit of time has gone by.
Yeah. And the detective walks by and talks to them for a bit. And it depends on which version you see, because there's almost kind of like an extended ending, I think, in the later cut that came out. I almost forget which one, and it's where the priest and the detective kind of have a little moment.
It's at the end.
Let's go to a movie.
It's at the end of the extended director's cut. Because I was watching that the other night.
And it's not my favorite. It could have just ended.
It could have just leaving. It could have ended actually with them leaving in the car and giving Father Dyer the like necklace that Father carried. Yeah, it could have ended there. Yeah, for sure. But nonetheless, it ends. Reagan is safe, it seems.
And we have been tormented by all this craziness.
Yeah, and we will get more into that. We are actually...
We're stuck in traffic again.
Yes, but we're slowly approaching our final destination. And so we'll get back to a little bit, recap our trip and what we saw in Georgetown.
It's going to be so exciting.
We love it. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Oh, just a jiffy.
Bye.
Well, welcome back, guys!
Hello!
Well, we're now in Oklahoma on our way back from a fantastic vacation.
It was amazing.
We had a great time seeing my family and staying with my dad and my stepmom and Pammy.
Yes.
And while we were there, we ventured into D.C. and went to Georgetown and saw the Exorcist steps and house.
It was amazing!
It's just like in the movie. You pull up and you're like, oh my god, there's the house.
Yes.
The roof is a little different. The steps are super duper steep.
Yes.
We walked up and down them. I'm not saying we walked up and down them quickly.
It might have been a hashtag struggle, but...
But we did it. There were people running up and down exercising.
Yeah, and we were like, well, we did it once.
They're really steep and scary, and it's kind of funny when you're on the steps, you see the perspective of the house. And they definitely cheated a little bit.
Yeah.
The steps are pretty far from that window.
Yeah, they definitely was jumping.
So, Burke, she really had to throw him far to get him out that window. And then
Father Karras had to really jump.
He had to jump, fall in love.
Jump it! All right.
But we had a great time. Did a lot of other stuff in D.C. too. Went to Arlington. We went to
Harper's Ferry and had a
ghost tour.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, it was like basically walking around this really cool old Civil War town at night, hearing ghost stories. And went to Monticello, Mount Vernon. Did all that historical stuff too. We had a great time. But what left the biggest impression, of course, was the Exorcist.
Yeah, it's like
locations.
Why we went.
They have plaques up commemorating. It says like Hollywood on the Potomac.
Yes.
And it tells you information about the making of the movie. And there's something at the top of the stairs and the bottom of the stairs. And it's really cool. The house, it's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely, you recognize it when you get on 36th and Prospect.
Yeah. You take the steps down to M Street.
We're just such Georgetown, like, know-it-alls.
I was like envisioning Father Dyer reading the last rites
Yes,
to Karis at the bottom.
At the bottom
we even we even acted it out. I
Yeah.
threw myself down those stairs and Justine cried.
The
and
steps are like made out of like real stone, so you like the impact, like you're like, yeah, that would have really fucked someone's head up. So
it was, and it's a long way down.
I'm so glad you wore your helmet for our reenactment.
Yeah, those steps are steep steps.
Yes, and then on the way back, while we've been driving for the last day and a half, we finished our Exorcist book.
Oh, it's so funny listening to William Peter Blatty like do all the voices. And,
yeah, it's been a wonderful audible experience, I guess.
And it's really faithful to the movie's really faithful to the book.
Yes, yeah, the adaptation from novel to screenplay, since it was done by the author, I feel like he was like, this is important, that's going in it. This is this is what I want.
And the book really fleshes out a lot of different things. It really sets up some red herrings, like Carl. Mm-hmm. You're suspecting him the whole time for different
a little
things.
bit, yeah. You're like, what's going on? And also just like it opens up his and his wife's story a little bit more.
And it also plays into the is she faking? It goes way more into like science and psychology and stuff in the book, but it was fun. It was really fun to listen to.
Yeah,
we
laughed.
Time has been passing by.
We had some laughs. They said cunting a lot. I was like,
oh
my god.
We're like, was that a 70s thing where they said the C word, like the F word?
Yeah.
Because they were like, you cunting bitch, and you... Yeah, it was very odd. But we were probably cracking up every time they said it, too.
Yeah, because we're also like 12-year-old boys.
We're like snickering, like little school children.
Oh,
but okay, well, should we dive in?
Yes, let's
go
ahead.
Should we exercise our favorite scenes?
Yes, I'm going to exercise my right to share my favorite scene.
All right, you go first.
Oh my goodness, so I've had some time to think, and that means that I didn't think much about it at all. No, I'm going to go with probably the scene where she kind of like spins her head around, and I feel like that's a real fun scene where you're like, holy shit, it shows the special effects of the time, and the makeup, and just having Ellen Burstyn like grab her face and be like, oh! Oh! Oh!
Yeah, Ellen Burstyn really gets to act her ass off in this movie.
But you find out that that's like a lot of it's written in the book. Like all of a sudden it'll just be like, and then Chris put her both hands up to her cheeks and screamed aloud.
Yeah,
like,
she's almost kind of manic. Like she cannot handle the anxiety of her daughter being possessed.
Yeah, she's like, I can't even. I mean, like I know I'm an actress and I know I have like all these emotions, but I can't.
She's like, but I can't handle it!
I can't.
Damn it!
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the scene where Reagan turns her head around. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's right. I mean,
it is really creepy.
Yeah, a lot of the scenes of the possession are just like, they could all kind of be, you just put them into one big thing, but I'm going to
go. That's a goodie. I'm gonna go with the scene where they run in and the papers are flying everywhere, drawers are coming in and out, and Reagan's sitting there mutilating herself by trying to masturbate with a crucifix. And
of course you'd choose that.
Well, it's the most like violent and disturbing. She grabs her mother's head and gets her all bloody with her
vaginal blood.
Pushes her, throws her against the wall. That bureau starts sliding
she,
towards
moves the
her.
furniture around, and
it's full out crazy time.
Yeah, it's crazy time.
Crazy time.
It's crazy time.
Like my daughter was like talking crazy and like just puncturing her vagina with a crucifix, and then she threw me down, and I hurt my back.
And my back really hurts. So yeah, she's like, there's a lot of like masturbation and like
lots of just like very like
genital,
defilement.
like, or she's like grabbing some doctor's scrotum.
Yeah,
and,
lots of scrot and vag in this movie.
They don't shy away from the old scrot and vag.
From the old scrot and vag. Ellen Burstyn in this scene too, a little behind the scenes. There was like a rope or some kind of like wire connected to her, and they pulled her back to achieve that fall.
Oh,
but they pulled her a little too hard.
When she gets bitch slapped.
She gets bitch slapped, thrown across the room after she's forced to like put her head down her daughter's bloody badge. But they pulled her a little too hard, and her reaction when she's screaming is true pain.
It's true pain.
True pain.
She really worked through it. She's an artist, goddammit.
So this movie, it's just crazy. It's very disturbing.
Yeah.
It's really makes you think. I mean, I hope I never get
Linda Blair does a really good job.
Yeah, she got nominated for an Oscar. So did Ellen Burstyn. The whole
James Miller.
Yeah, the whole cast and crew. Basically.
Yeah, basically everybody was getting some nods to how great of a job they did.
Yeah. It's a great movie, and it stood the test of time.
Yeah.
People freaked out when it opened back then, and I think people that watch it now, it's still...
Yeah, it's... totes itself as the scariest movie of all time.
It's one of my favorites, one of your favorites, I know that.
Yes, it might just be.
Let's do our knife ratings, Miss Justine.
Knife ratings.
All right.
I mean, for me, it's like, it's not even, it's 5.
Yeah.
5 knives.
5 knives for me, too. I'm not even going to act like it's
William Friedkin.
A build up.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
It's a classic. It's one of the best of all times, and I know it's personally one of your favorites.
Yes, I love it to pieces.
It's been one of my favorites since I first saw it on TNT's Monster Vision when I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah, I feel the same memories I have of seeing it on like TNT, seeing it at my dad's house. Oh,
and there was like an edited version too that I saw.
Like it was never.
But it was still frightening, and almost no matter what version you see, it's gonna be frightening to you.
It's just simply frightening.
You watch it on TV with commercials, it's gonna suck you in, and it's gonna scare you.
It's a really awesome movie all around. It's
one of our favorites.
It's a thriller.
5 knives.
5 fucking knives.
We love it. What can we say? We can't say much more.
I know.
We love The Exorcist.
It's consumed our lives for the last week. We love it so much.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're gonna wrap this episode up. Oh, hey, motorcycle coming by, ruining our sound. Next month, or no, we're gonna have our bonus Halloween episode coming up in a few weeks.
So it's not even next month.
Stay tuned for Sleepy Hollow, episode 21. Thanks for listening to episode 20 of The Exorcist today, guys.
Appreciate it so much. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
ScreamQueensPodcast.com.
Love you so. Bye.